1,024 days ago on the 18th of December 2022, while on a road trip up to Scotland with my best mate, we decided we wanted to change the men's hair industry forever.
Today we're going on a road trip for 5 hours, I know.
There we go, bro. Look at that, look at that.
And 1,024 days later, in indefinitely the hardest journey of my entire life, we have this. The Monte texturising tool. But the question is, how do we get here? Now, if you have followed me for long enough, you will know that I have tried pretty much every hairstyle in the book. I've also, as you can embarrassingly see, tried out a fair few hair products. This also isn't even like half my collection, by the way. This is just the stuff I have like home. I mean, you know, there's no beating around the bush here. When I came up with the whole idea of this, I was literally growing my hair long because I just couldn't really find anything that worked for me. But kind of one thing that I always knew that I wanted throughout this entire process is that, well, I wanted volume and I wanted texture. This is my hair at the end of the day, as you see, flat, lifeless, it's greasy, it looks unwashed. You know, and on this road trip to Scotland, amongst seeing a fair few sheep and quite a few very adorable seals, the two realizations that my best mate and I came to was that, number one, the men's hair market was confusing. And number two, although the products on the market kind of generally said what they kind of said they did, on the whole, for like a variety of different reasons, the product sucked. Now, since this epiphany, the men's hair market has changed drastically. TikTok has boomed and education in and around, you know, what hair type people have and what products they should be using has increased exponentially. But the one thing that hasn't changed, and hasn't changed since the 90s, is the products themselves. From a purely cosmetic point of view, I can totally understand why people use this product. You know, it's easy to apply, you can use it with lots of different hair types, and you know, it is long lasting. I mean, from a styling point of view, there's a lot to be left desired, but from like a purely cosmetic side, like I kind of get it. Now, the way that texturizing powder actually functions in its job is that it absorbs the sebum between your hair and as a result allows you to create friction, and that friction creates texture and hold, etc, etc. The only problem and slight caveat is that that sebum is also needed to create a happy, healthy scalp. It protects your scalp from bacteria, fungi, environmental damage. It also prevents the hair from breakage. It's a good thing when managed correctly. Now, the problem is that when you then remove all of that on a constant daily basis, well, best case scenario, you're probably going to end up with an itchy scalp. Alternatively, you might end up with dandruff, because, well, that does happen. And worst case scenario, you end up with your hair going into overdrive, and this is what happened to me, you end up with really, really greasy hair. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun, right? I think that this can be summed up in 2 words for just about every and all aspect, and that is, it's okay. For hairstyling, it's okay. For performance, it's okay. For washing it out, although sometimes it leaves a residue if it's wax-based, it's okay. No, I'm being quite broad here. I'm sure there are some fantastic clays out there that you guys really, really like, and if that's the case, I would never, ever want to point you away in another direction. The one thing that I truly believe is that if you find a hair product that really, really works for you, then please absolutely stick with it. But, you know, no matter what way you look at it, the cheap ones or the affordable ones very often are wax-based, which are difficult to wash out. And in terms of like the performance of kaolin by itself as an active styler, which is clay by the way, you know, it's okay. And then we have, finally, TikTok's favorite child, and that is sea salt spray. And I'm not even gonna lie, we actually tried to develop one for over a year. I have tried almost every sea salt spray across the market, and to be honest, I've used it for many a time. I used it for well over a year and a half. Number one, if you want it to last out in the wind or out throughout the day, you had to apply a hairspray, and then that kind of defeats the whole purpose of having like a natural looking hairstyle in the first place. And also, in a polite way, it's literally impossible to style. You know, with sea salt spray, you get one hairstyle, which is fluffy hair, and in the nicest way possible, like that made me look like a 12-year-old, and I wasn't so keen on that. What I kind of realized was that if I wanted my product to have everything that I wanted, well, we were gonna have to start completely from scratch. And the method that we went about doing this is that I collected every single trait that I felt like my dream product should have, bundled them all up, and then sent them back to the scientists and said, please make this. Well, after another 5 attempts and another 8 months, we started to realize that we just weren't getting anywhere. The product was either not having enough hold, was a hot sticky mess in an application, or just like generally was just really difficult to style and apply. And we were burning cash, and a lot of it. The solution that they offered us was white label, which even now infuriates me. Well, it's basically the quickest and easiest and cheapest way to get a product to market, because what a white label product is it's a cheap, pre-made product that your supplier has already created that you can just slap your logo on. You know, and I don't say this to be mean in any way to any of these people that have done it. Like, I sympathize with it. I totally understand, having gone through the process, why you might want to do this. But for those of you who are sitting at home and, you know, want to make sure that you avoid these products moving forward, the number one indication of a white label product is basically, does the founder in any way or shape or form show you any of the development process of the product that they are launching? Because I can guarantee you for a fact, if they were developing a product, they would show you it, because it is really, really hard. Now, at this point, to put it bluntly, I was feeling very lost. We had what felt like wasted 20 months with this one supplier. I had burnt a lot of cash. And to be honest, like, it kind of felt like, or it started to feel like, maybe the reason that this product didn't exist was because it couldn't exist. Hopefully we'll be ready in time for Christmas. But then we got lucky. After hitting rock bottom after another failed attempt, I made a call to someone that I had met 2 years earlier, purely by chance at a football game, who happened to be Wendy Pickthall, the owner of CPL, the nose behind Penhaligon's highest selling fragrances and other brands such as Jo Malone, The White Company, and more recently Son Musk. And she loved the idea. And I want to make this very, very clear. This interaction changed everything for us. You see, at this point we've been chasing the idea that the product had to be 100% natural. How wrong we were. And she reminded us of one very important thing while we were set on trying to appease the TikTok masses who are so focused on this like 100% natural idea. And that is, if you want to build a skyscraper, you don't build it out of wood. And although admittedly we have ended up with, well, an 87% natural product, the reality is, if you want real data-driven, real performance-driven results, well, sometimes you gotta trust in the science. And at this point we pivoted from trying to create something that was just there to appease TikTok masses to actually creating something that is results-driven, performance-focused, and actually delivers on what it says it does. And well, the very next day, not only did she put me in contact with one of the UK's leading hair labs, but also invited me in to create my very own custom fragrance. The reality is, if you want real data-driven, real performance-driven results, sometimes you gotta trust in the science. And I am incredibly proud to tell you that not only do we have a fragrance that would go toe-to-toe with some of the fragrances that you wear on a day-to-day basis in terms of quality, but also one that contains real extracts from real ingredients, essential oils, and then also engineered compounds that are in every top-selling fragrance, focused purely on performance. And it has top notes of bay roses, cardamom, mandarin, mid notes of cedarwood, geranium, lavender, and base notes of patchouli, vetiver, and amber. And look, I get a bit excited over this, but like, there is a real founded claim to say that the ingredients within this fragrance are of higher quality than of the fragrance you wear on a day-to-day basis, let alone in your hair product. And well, in early 2025, on the 21st of January, after several revisions, we finally nailed the formula. It really is a product that ticks all 5 of those boxes. You see, with just like 1 or 1.5 dashes, I've got slightly longer hair at the moment, in like 15 seconds or less, depending on how quick you are at applying it, you can have perfectly texturized hair that will literally last you all day. Right, just get the styling right. Bosh. The product's fantastic, you know, we must be done. Right? Well, not quite. You see, the reality is, no matter how good a product you create, without a brand attached to it, people just aren't interested. This was the part that I really, really enjoyed.
What are we doing today, mate?
First campaign today.
First campaign, mate.
First ever
Changing the world.
Photography shoot?
River by
A little bit
river.
of context, although we got the shots for today, we were actually meant to film in there. Obviously we got the forecast a little bit wrong and there's, well, quite a lot of water.
Freya's joining us today, so we have our second cast member. Doesn't it look beautiful? And first things first, the name. Now, we actually tried a couple of different things in and around this over a very, very long period of time. To begin with, it was Ode, until we realised that, well, Ode was already a brand. And then we moved to Polar, because we thought that we were going to be the greenest hair brand possible. And although we are working towards that and everything in and around it is sustainable, you know, it's all made in the UK, etc., etc., unfortunately, there's already a clothing brand called that, so we kind of stepped away from that. But for me personally, and you might be aware of this if you've been following the channel for a while, unless like has true meaning, I'm just not really interested in it, and like these names didn't really mean anything to me. They just kind of sounded nice or looked nice on packaging. So we kind of like dived into like the crux of what the brand is actually about and what we're trying to do. And long story short, the thing that we've been trying to achieve throughout this journey is to help men summit, or women if they want to buy it too, summit their own personal mountains of whatever it is that they're facing. And long story short, Monte means to summit in French. I'm sure at this point you'll have all seen the word mark. I mean, it's stamped pretty large all over the packaging. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. But there actually was also meant to be another logo associated with this, one that we spent 12 months working on, and one that actually meant a huge amount to me. I don't know if I've ever actually shared this online, but my favourite painting of all time is Wandering Above the Sea Fog by Caspar David Friedrich. And basically what this painting showcases is a man who has just summited his mountain and has taken a moment to admire his accomplishments and where he wants to go to next. And for me, that is exactly what the brand is about. It's for young, ambitious people ready to take the next step in their journey. Unfortunately, well, by a brand that I had never, well, I'd heard of them, but I didn't actually realise they even had a logo. I didn't realise anything really about it. Basically sent us an infringement copyright notice 2 days before the packaging was meant to be signed off, and we had to scrap it off everything. Right, well, I've just received an extremely thick wedge of paper from a law firm to let us know that our logo has been opposed, which means that we have wasted 18 months developing our logo. We have the bit that I'm sure all of you are very interested in, and one that I really don't want to speak about, because it's the one thing that I hate about business, and also I just don't really like speaking about money full stop. But I also want to keep this as transparent with you guys as possible, because I know that many of you might be starting your own businesses, and it's always good to have an understanding of this stuff. Now, long story short, and there's no real easy way of putting this, this was expensive. We were offered all of the money in 2023 for 40% of the company by an investor, and we turned it down because this is my child and I wanted to have full autonomy over everything within it. So basically, the strategy that me and my mate took, we managed to raise 7,000 through an innovation fund, and then between the two of us, we put in 53,000 of our savings. So yeah, not cheap. Which is why, likely, if you watch any of the videos, you'll kind of realize that, well, they're very low budget. We had nothing to spend on advertising, pretty much, and everything that you kind of will see or have seen in the first 3 months of launch is pretty much just us calling in favors from friends, which, by the way, if you're watching this and you've helped us along our journey, I am incredibly grateful for, because we wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So yeah, it's made it probably very difficult, but it's also made it a lot of fun. So in a weird way, it's been a blessing and a massive curse not really having enough money to do this. Now, the really sad thing online is that selling out is basically the way that people determine the success of a launch. If you don't sell out online, it's seen that what you did was a failure. And I don't want to sugarcoat it, you know, the stock was limited, and no, we didn't sell out. Due to a number of factors. Number one, we were limited to only being able to sell in the UK, Germany and Ireland, and there were literally over 1,000 abandoned checkouts from people that were from the US and other countries that weren't able to buy, and we are looking to change that as soon as possible. But that also doesn't mean that it wasn't a massive success, and I really want to emphasize that I am so grateful to every single person who's watching this that has already bought. We managed to sell 1,600 units so far, and that will be the last time for a while that I ever speak about anything like that. But to every single person that believed in this project right from the get-go and has trusted me in my project and what I'm doing, I cannot say thank you enough. And really, that moment when I saw the orders come in, I couldn't find the tears, but it was just this relief and this just sort of realization that this maybe could become a real thing. And yeah, sometimes even now for me to say it out loud that we sold 1,600 is mind-boggling. Just want to finish on one final note, which is, over the last 3 years, I have poured everything into this, and I really mean it when I say it. If I wasn't 100% convinced in this product, I wouldn't be launching it. This is an ode to the 23 years of my life, and I break down saying it, but what this means to me can't really be put into words. And for those of you who choose to support me on this journey and us on this journey, I really can't express how grateful I am. And this product has changed my life, and I really hope it can change yours too.
Life really does come from you, and there isn't a day that I regret setting out on this journey. No matter what it's put me through, no matter how stressed I've been, no matter the stress rashes, the constant nights of no sleep, there isn't a moment that I regret doing it. And yeah, I'm very excited for what the future holds.